As a top 3x3 solver who absolutely never messes up when it really matters, I have a relatively high amount of knowledge about 3x3. I've seen a lot of people's 3x3 solves over the years, and I've noticed that certain critical mistakes are very common, especially among beginner and intermediate solvers. So in this video, I'm going to go over the top 5 worst mistakes that almost all cubers make and how to fix them. Let's get started with number 5. Having bad finger tricks, too many regrips, or just poor turning in general. You can't be a good cuber unless you have good turning. It's as simple as that. If your turning makes it look like you've never touched a speed cube before, then you're losing a ton of time that you could easily be saving. At the intermediate or advanced level, you absolutely have to be able to do double flicks with both hands, D2 double flicks with at least one of your hands, M2 double flicks on whichever hand you use for M slices, F prime with your right thumb and with your left index finger, D prime push with your left ring finger, U layer pushes and U layer flicks with both hands, finger drags, and more. Instead of just learning these on their own, you should learn each of those as they apply to algs or cases that you're learning. That way, each finger trick that you learn will be helpful right away. For example, if you just learn to do a D prime push out of context, then it's probably going to be useless for a while. But if you are learning the E perm for the first time, you can learn how to do the push D prime and have a use for it right away. Along with learning the finger tricks, you also have to be able to apply them in your solves. For example, let's say that you have this situation for your last two pairs, and your hands are in the normal grip. If you have poor turning, then you might solve these two pairs like this, with 4 regrips. But if you have good turning, and you get better at predicting where the pieces will be, which you'll get better at with time, then you can execute the exact same two pairs with no regrips, which can save a lot of time. Number 4. F2L Tunnel Vision. F2L Tunnel Vision is when you lock onto the first thing you see and you refuse to solve anything else even if there are way better options. This is especially common among beginners who have no confidence in their recognition. They don't believe they'll be able to spot anything, so when they do, they hold on to it for dear life. The problem is that doing this will give you some terrible F2L cases. Imagine that you finish your cross and the first thing you see is this edge in the front left slot. Because you have F2L tunnel vision, you absolutely have to solve that F2L pair first, which means you have to solve the pair with your corner solved in the back left slot and your edge in that front slot. That's not a good pair, especially compared to the options you're missing because of tunnel vision. So how can you fix this? One thing that can help is improving your cross to F2L transition so you always have a complete pair already chosen, but the better thing to do is to try to look in the top layer for F2L pairs first and keep your mind open to all options. With practice, and eventually with look ahead, you can vastly increase your likelihood that you're always choosing the best F2L pair available. Number 3. Not using inspection well enough. This problem is unbelievably common at all skill levels of cubing. Every time you do a 3x3 solve in competition, you have 15 seconds of inspection, and how well you use this inspection can make or break your solve before it even begins. And if you only plan your cross, or even just part of your cross in inspection, you're already at a disadvantage. Every time I go to a competition or watch people's solves online, I see people only use 5 seconds of inspection, and those people are always the ones that really struggle with cross to F2L transition, or even with just their cross. If you don't plan out your entire cross during inspection, then you're wasting a huge amount of time by having to find the missing cross pieces and solve them after the solve has already started. And if you only take 4 or 5 seconds to plan out your cross, you still have 10 seconds to plan even further and basically get a head start to your solve. The best way to get out of the habit of having poor inspection is to force yourself to use more of it, even if you aren't planning anything. Turn on the inspection warning voice in CS Timer, and don't let yourself start the solve until you hear it say 12 seconds. Eventually, you'll get so bored of just waiting that you'll start to plan your first pair during inspection. This will boost your look ahead, fix your cross to F2L transition, and make your solve a lot easier. Planning cross plus 1 in inspection is easily in the top 5 most important skills for 3x3 solving in my opinion, and it forms the backbone of my solving style. I can't recommend learning how to do it enough if you're sub 15. By the way, check out my tutorial on it if you're having trouble. Number 2, cube rotating too much. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff I've seen people do when it comes to cube rotations. People cube rotate to solve pairs, people cube rotate to insert pairs, people cube rotate to look for pieces, people cube rotate and cube rotate back, people cube rotate twice for one F2L pair, and it drives me crazy. The worst part about it is that it's really easy to tell whether or not you're going to need to cube rotate just by looking at the pair. Here's how you can tell. Look at the edge of the F2L pair. If the color on the side of the F2L pair matches up with the center on the left or the right, then you definitely know that you don't have to rotate. This is true 100% of the time. So if there's an F2L case that you normally cube rotate for, but the side color on the edge matches up with the center on the side, then you should experiment with that case and find a rotationless solution. This might force you to think outside the box, become more comfortable with inserting pairs into the back, and just try things until you find something that works. Here's the cool thing though. Even if your F2L pair doesn't pass the test from earlier, meaning that the side color of the edge lines up with the center on the front or the back, you still might be able to solve the pair without cube rotating. You'll just need to use F moves, M moves, wide layer R moves, or something like that. If you want more information on how to avoid cube rotating when it's not necessary, especially when it's become a bad habit, I highly recommend checking out my video on the topic by clicking on the card in the top right or by going to the link in the description. And when it comes to cube rotating during last layer, just don't. It's that simple. Instead of lining up your PLL so there won't be any AUF, cube rotating and then doing PLL, just line it up so you can solve it from your current angle, do the ALG, and then AUF. Trust me, that's much faster. Last but not least is an understatement for this next one. I literally cannot overstate the importance of fixing this mistake. The number one biggest mistake that almost all cubers make is solving F2L cases inefficiently. If you have no idea what you're doing wrong in your solves, there is a very high chance that you're losing a lot of time from inefficiency in your F2L. Let's put it into perspective. The amount of time your solve takes is equal to your move count divided by your TPS. This equation also works for any specific step, such as F2L. If we say that your TPS during F2L is about 4, then that means that if you can save one move per F2L pair, then you're saving a whole second from your solve. And if you can save 4 moves per pair, then you're saving 4 whole seconds. The benefits from becoming more efficient are huge, but F2L inefficiency among beginners is more widespread than measles in an anti-vax daycare. Inefficiency can look very different depending on your skill level. For beginners, it very often means not understanding the 3 main strategies for solving F2L pairs and when to use them. The 3 main strategies are setting up to an RU-R' insert when the top colors for the F2L pair don't match, connecting the pieces and setting up to an RU'-R' insert when the top colors do match, and connecting the pair like this and inserting with RU'-R' when the corner has white facing up. That last one in particular is very common to not know from what I've seen. For intermediate solvers, inefficiency is typically about not knowing how to deal with cases where one piece is in a slot and the other is in the top layer. A good rule of thumb is that any case like this only needs one trigger to set up the pair to a 3-move insert, and then one other trigger to insert it. And for more advanced solvers, inefficiency can be not understanding the nuance and utility of using slightly different F2L solutions depending on other F2L pairs and things like that. No matter what level you're at, the way to improve your efficiency is the same. The first thing you need to do is identify the problem. Trust your intuition here. If you feel like the way you solve a pair is inefficient, there's probably a better way. And even if you think you know the best way to solve something, there might be something even better that you just haven't thought of. The one trigger to set up, one trigger to solve rule of thumb is very useful here. I encourage you to experiment with F2L during untimed solves and see what new solutions you can find on your own. But if you're stuck and you want to know what the pros do, you can watch example solves, you can check out F2L tutorials and people's F2L websites, and if you're really struggling with a specific F2L case, feel free to message me about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video all the way to the end. When you combine planning, scripting, filming, editing, and uploading, I put dozens of hours of work into this video, as I do with a lot of my videos, and I really appreciate when you enjoy what I make. If you like this video, the absolute best thing you could do to show that is share the video, either by clicking the share button below the video and sharing it on your social media, or by telling your friends about it. I'm sure a lot of your cubing friends could really learn a lot from this video. Other than that, you can subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later, and I hope you have a fantastic day. This is Brody, signing out.